going to call the meeting to order. This is the City of Urbana Human Relations Commission for Tuesday, January 14, 2025, 6 p.m. Tom, could you call the roll, please?
Shalini Smith.
Here.
Peter Resnick.
Here.
Vahagan Shiflakan.
Here.
Jerry Fry.
Here.
Charles Davidson. Ann Panthen.
Here. Thank you. I presume everyone has seen the agenda. Does anyone have an addition to the agenda? All right. We'll move on to approval of the minutes of the December 17th, 2024 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 There are no members of the public here tonight, so we'll skip public input. Unfinished business, the commission name change. Pete, is that you or is that Carla?
Thank you. The meeting of the city council last night, they did approve the name change. It is official as of last night.
So now we are Human Rights Commission.
That's correct, ma'am.
Well, thank you to those of you that worked on getting that completed. It has been confusing for me and maybe others, so I appreciate that. All right, new business. We have some automatic 2-year EEO certificate approvals. Shalini, do you want to tell us what those are?
All right. So we have McKinsey Wagner Incorporated and Mid-State Fire Repair LLC.
Okay. And these are companies that have fewer than 14 employees, so they are automatically approved. All right, now we have consideration of the EEO workforce statistics. So we could use a motion to get this started.
Okay. The recommendations for the EEO certifications are as follows. Tom Davis Electric Incorporated for 1 year. A&R Mechanical Contractors Incorporated for 2 years. A&R Mechanical Services Incorporated for 2 years, and Daniel L. Rib Trucking, Inc. for 2 years.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion on any of the 4 companies?
I'll simply say this will again encourage me to get with Carla and work on the union end of the deal. But I agree that particularly for A&R, they've been doing their good faith effort on their end. We still have to work with the union to see if they can do some work, but that's a separate issue, so I'm glad to leave it at 2 years.
And the A&R Mechanical, the contractors and the services are 2 separate companies, is that correct?
That is correct. They have completely different staffs and hiring processes.
Okay. So it looks like one is HVAC and plumbing, and the other one is their software and related services. And they're all union shops, which I think is kind of unusual. They're not union.
Carla was just noting Daniel L. Ribby is actually union as well. And one of the pieces of information they shared with us was that they had one new employee since the last report, and that employee went to become an apprentice with the union as well.
Good. Okay. All right. No further discussion. We can take a vote to approve as Shalini read them. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, thank you. And then we have automatic EEO certification process discussion.
That is me, and thank you, Pete, or Mr. Resnick, for saying, what you said about the RIBI and us getting with the unions and working with them to try to increase their workforce diversity. So I wanted to propose that the Human Rights Commission consider raising the automatic certification approval process from the 14 and below employees to 20 or lower, reserving the right to review an applicant that a commissioner may have a concern with. Since we instituted the 14 and below process, we've had 14 or less employees. Outside of those 14 or less employees, we had an additional 8 employers that were near the cutoff limit. There were 8 of them, and none of them were over 20 applicants, and half of them received 2-year certification anyway. And there was one applicant this month that was the RIBI that had 16 employees. And so what I was hoping is that we could have that discussion and hopefully move the limit up to 20, because we haven't had any that go over 20. And my belief is that they are still experiencing the same challenges that the 14 and under are experiencing. And when I looked on the EEO website, they have different different protected classes that have different limits of how many employees the employer has to have before you can bring a charge of discrimination for a particular class. For example, for age discrimination, if you are a union, the threshold is 25. If you are business or private employer, it's 20. And so with the different ones, I wouldn't suggest going to 25 or anything like that. But I think with looking at the history over the year since we've implemented this, we've had 8 employers that didn't reach the 20 threshold, but I believe is still facing the challenges. How they don't hire as often and they don't, separate as often. And so my hope is that we could raise it up so we can get those employers in the automatic renewal process as we work towards working with the unions, our local unions.
And are you hoping that we will take a vote tonight, or is this just the discussion?
This is the discussion, and then you would have to take the vote. It would be at a later meeting.
Okay,
If you decide.
okay. Do any of the commissioners have any? Pete?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the EEO page, and so they do have something for 15 to 19 employees. Certain things kick in and others
And
don't.
others don't, yes.
Would it be more efficient for you if for the 15 to 19 category, you could automatically recommend 2 years and but it would end up on the non-automatic agenda? That way, we look at them, and if there's something out of sorts, we can at least give you a heads up, but for the most part, we would say, okay, those are in the 15 to 19, you could mark them in some way as 15 to 19, but then you don't have to do whatever full review you've been doing of them.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I mean, I'm thinking in terms of, we come across a 16 employee thing, and it's all men, or there's just something odd about it. we would probably call it out, where under 14, we've been, or 14 or under, we've been saying, okay, well, you can't even tell what that means at that point.
And the EEO laws don't kick in until it's 15.
Right, right. So maybe, just, if it's just as convenient for you to be able to just say, we're not going to do the full review of this one unless you guys ask us to go back for some odd reason.
So on the purple sheets, just saying.
Right, 15 to
or
19.
Or we can highlight that
Yeah,
box.
and just say it's 15 to 19, done. That way we at least, because on the 0 to 14 now, I've just been kind of going, okay, just
Yeah.
let them go.
The, if you, in our history, half of them are still receiving the 2-year anyway.
Right.
The
And
dis-
I'm wondering why we've gone for less than 2 years on the ones that we have.
There are 4 of them, out of the 8, 4 of them were non-union work, utilizing
Gotcha.
non-union work. 3 of them were that received 1 year. There were 4 that received 1 year. 3 of them were union. 1 of them was non-union work. So it's trying to figure out that balance. But for those that aren't utilizing union labor, they've been receiving 2 years.
2 year anyway,
And so
right.
after we looked at that, it's saying it fits with the under 20 because none of them reached 20 employees. All 8 of them.
Right. It may be just as well to put them in the automatic. I'm ambivalent about it.
Shalini?
I'm kind of wondering, in the case of if it is a place that is utilizing union work, I would say yes, let's just go ahead and stick those in the automatic. If they're not utilizing union work, as in they do have like maybe a larger pool they can pick from, I feel like it would be worth scrutinizing just a bit more. That's my 2 cents.
Well, and you would read through them anyway. I mean, they just don't go in the packet.
We read all of them.
Yeah.
And go through all of them just to see if there's anything. We want to make sure, A, that they submitted all of the paperwork that's necessary. And then we look at them, and if something's odd with us, we go, hey, look at this. And we'll say, oh, can you give us some more information on that? We work with our employers intensely before they go to you.
Right.
Because we want to make sure that they have submitted everything to us, and we try to anticipate what you would be looking for to ensure that they address those things before.
Jerry, anything? No? Okay.
And Pete, you mentioned the idea of feedback on what you see if you got from 15 to 19 employees, or 15 to 20 rather. In most cases, you'd see these documents up to 10 days to 2 weeks before this meeting, and then we could point out if there was one that was coming in late to take a quick look at that one. You may have questions that would arise immediately when you see it, and we could work on those questions and get those answers before the meeting.
So, yeah, maybe if you separate out the below 15, okay, that's one category. The 15 to 19, which is, give these a sniff because they are in that middle category, and then the rest of them. That would probably be useful.
Yeah.
And then we could identify what might be funky in that group.
I think I want to readdress, I don't think we have to vote for a process. Do we have to wait on the vote for a process? If we're changing a process?
It just wasn't on the agenda, so it would violate open meetings if we
Okay.
didn't.
I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can, if we don't have to vote on a process, then as of next meeting, we can just start to,
I think just to be on the safe side,
we should vote on the.
we'll vote on it
Okay.
at the next meeting, and then we could start in March.
Okay. That sounds good. All right, thank you. Okay, Officers report. Carla?
Are you ready? Oh, okay. Okay, for formal complaints, there are no formal complaints at this time. For contacts and informal complaints, where people send in inquiries, there have been no formal inquiries, contacts since our last meeting. Office activity, I met with the executive director of the Illinois Commission on Discrimination and Hate Crimes, along with members of the Equity and Engagement Department of the City of Champaign. We discussed an opportunity to assist in their hate violence prevention program, and they are seeking assistance with providing a list of potential community members to interview for a study. They are looking for participants from government, from education, healthcare, community organizations, commission members. They're just looking to get in a diverse array of community members that they can spend, I believe it's about an hour interviewing them to put all this information together on how best they could implement this hate prevention program. They will be here at our next meeting on the 18th to talk about the Discrimination and Hate Crimes Commission and it's a state commission. Tonight, the Human Rights and Equity Office is adding a Moments in Human Rights History segment to the officers' report. This segment will highlight historical events that happened on the date of our meetings. So our next meeting is February 18th, so we'll see what happened then. But tonight, if you will watch the monitor, you'll see that on this day, January 14th in 1963, George Wallace was sworn in as governor of Alabama. Go down.
Today, I have stood where once Jefferson Davis stood and took an oath to my people. It is very appropriate that from this cradle of the Confederacy, this very heart of the great Anglo-Saxon Southland, that today we sound the drum for freedom, as have our generation of forebears before us done time and again down through history. Let us rise to the call of freedom-loving blood that is in us, and send our answer to the tyranny that clanks its chains upon the South. In the name of the greatest people that have ever trod this earth, I draw the line in the dust and toss the gauntlet before the feet of tyranny, and I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
That was January 14th, 1963. On a more positive note, also on this day in 1979, U.S. President Jimmy Carter endorsed a bill to make Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday a federal holiday. Illinois became the first state to commemorate Dr. King's birthday in 1973. Carter's endorsement sparked the momentum, though, and King's Day was celebrated nationally for the first time in 1986. Next Monday will be the 40th time the holiday has been celebrated nationally. That is the end of my report.
Thank you, Tom and Carla. I really like this new addition to our meeting. You know, it's what is that quote? Those of us that, well, I'm paraphrasing, those of us that forget our history are doomed to repeat it, or something like that. I'm close, I think. Anyway, I think it's important to keep that in front of us, and to know where we've been, and to know where we don't want to go again. That's what I think. So thank you for that.
Welcome. And the idea came because as I'm working in the office and working with different constituents, I found that education is probably a large key for the office. And so we wanted to start doing some type of education. This is the start. Hopefully we'll move, as we move forward, we'll be able to provide more and a variety of different types of education under the human rights umbrella.
That would be great. We could invite people to come, or maybe we could do a field trip. I think that'd be kind of nice. So thank you for that. Announcements. This commission has 3 openings. Have we had any luck lately? I know it's not prime recruiting time.
Been a little cold, so I haven't really been out. But we have not had any traditional recruitment activities.
Okay. I know spring and summer and fall are much better for that.
But we still ask and encourage people, hey, whenever we talk to someone, hey, have you considered?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this, I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, and as one of our upcoming programs, and it may not be in this program year, it might be in the next program year, that we are going to do a program about local commissions and boards and sort of, we do these on Zoom, and we try to get a really big outreach so people are aware of what's out there. So you can bet that this commission, and maybe your other commission, will be front and center. And I may invite you, so. Okay, good. Okay, the next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, February 18th, 5:30 p.m., which is our normal date and time. And anything else from the commissioners? No? Okay, well, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.